Reclaiming Timeless Ways, Mike Traster, Simon Fuller, you're along with us, and we appreciate that for another episode. Reclaiming Timeless Ways. How are we going to do that today, Mike? Tell us the title of the story. How are we going to pull all that together?
Moses, the power of Moses versus the power of the Pharaoh's dark magician.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember the story, but the magician for the Pharaoh had some kind of a magic wand or something, and he created a snake, right? And then from the snake was dangerous, of course, it was evil. And Moses comes along with his staff, and I think, if I remember right,
It ate a snake.
Right.
Yeah.
It destroyed. So he had this other kind of power that was going through him. They both had power from different sources, right? Yeah. So it ate the snake. That's right. It destroyed it and consumed it.
Yeah.
So.
And they kind of went tit for tat because he was, Pharaoh saying, Moses is basically trying to prove, I'm a presence from God. And Pharaoh saying, well, let me show you, we can do this magic.
I'm a badass, right?
As well. And so I think he had more than one. I think he had a couple people in his little arsenal of magicians, as you say. And they went tit for tat for a little while, but.
I don't remember. It's been a while since I read it.
But all of a sudden.
Sounds like you remember it better than I do.
Of course, the plagues, amongst some other things. Well, safe to say, Moses won.
He won, right?
He had the power of God.
Right. He had a different source.
Right.
One of them, the roots of one of those trees, fed off of a deeply polluted river.
Right.
And the roots of the other one came from the most pure river imaginable. Right. So this is what made me think of it. I was watching one of the offshoots of the Harry Potter movies, which I love, right? And in this one, it was called Dumbledore. Okay. So it was about Dumbledore as a young man.
Okay.
And
Dumbledore, you ought to name your next dog that. I just like that.
I don't want another dog, but I like other people's dogs. But I've had one satanic dog, and that was enough. But
maybe a gerbil, Mike.
Maybe not. Maybe a plastic gerbil.
Okay. All right. Sorry to distract.
That's all right. So there's this one scene where there's like all these different physical layers of buildings and huge hills and bigger hills, and then there's this one overarching hill looking down. So here's this scene with all these people from, this school of magic, right? They're all people with immense power, right? And we can leave alone the argument of is that possible or not, or is that good or is it evil?
Right.
But the subtle message that everybody misses in that is that at the very pinnacle of the scene is this hill. And on the hill is a crucifix overlooking everything. So J.K. Rowling is giving this subliminal message there that the real source of power, the real source of mind, of power, of magic, of whatever it is that we want to call it. I don't even know what a thought is. I can't tell you what a thought is, I can't tell you what light is, and I can't tell you what gravity is. And I don't know if there's a physicist alive on the world who can. Yeah. Right? But all of it, at the very, 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 very pinnacle, like Everest, right, is a cross. What's the cross? It's God spoken into the form of a man, Christ, right? And you're looking at that and you say, that was no accident. Right. She's saying, we don't have a clue. What does it say? It says we're made in God's image. Well, is God powerless? Oh. Does God have creative power? Oh. Can God make things better? Ooh. Is God a healer? Does God affect life? Is God a restorer of faith and hope and health? So if we're in God's image, can we do none of those things, or can we do some of those things, right? And then the question is, and again, getting away from this toxic swamp of nitpicking religiously, what is magic? What is religious? What is spiritual authority? Because there is such a thing. What is prayer? Prayer is spiritual authority. You're speaking to God and you're saying, I want this to change. Right? And you pour your heart out to God in some way. And when you get into a state, this is the thing that C.S. Lewis spoke about in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and probably among other places. He said, when you get into a place of utter selflessness, then your prayers, your wants, your thoughts, your prayers are most powerfully heard and most powerfully answered because your pride is not in the way, right? And it's like, and I can tell you from my own experiences as a runner, not that I was very good, but I was persistent. As a weightlifter, same. As a martial artist, better than those other two. As a wrestler, very good, but brief because I had just awful problems with my hands. And doing nursing and counseling work, when I was in the way, it blocked my ability to see clearly and do the best. But when I wasn't in the picture, me, Mr. Shine My Badge, proud person, fool, right? When I wasn't in the picture and I was just invested in the moment, much better things happened through me.
Absolutely, because where's your motivation coming from?
Right. Right. So then you say to yourself, well, what is this? This was a power that was given to Moses. Was this power unique? Yes. Is my power unique? Probably. Is yours? Absolutely. Why? Because we were all made uniquely. It was this, I think it was in the oh hell, I don't remember the name of the story, but it was about the Tower of Babel. And there was a phrase in there somewhere and it says, God doesn't want bricks, he wants stones. I'm paraphrasing. So what's the difference? A brick is like symmetrical, it's perfect, right? Stone is unique. So why would he give us perfectly identical powers if he made us unique? So then the question is, well, what is it that is good and light and caring and loving and strong and brave and constructive that inspires me? Because those things are reflections of the unique way in which you were made, or I was made, right? So that is the power or the force or the magic or the spiritual authority. And my argument is it's hogwash to argue about the words. It's the essence. That's what lives in us that can move through us. And there was one other piece to that. What was her name? Mother Teresa. I understand that she was a miserable person to work for.
Okay.
Miserable, incredibly unpleasant, abusive to her workers, right? Nasty. That she had, towards the end of the last decade or more of her life, she had had a complete collapse of faith. She was no longer really believing that God existed. But what was the force that still lived and moved through her that kept her doing her work in her miserable state of emotional non-belief? There was a deeper force. And that was the Spirit of God. What do you want to call it? The Holy Spirit of God, the mind of God, the heart of God? Again, terminology, I don't care. And it's like in the book Gulliver's Travels, what were they were arguing about which side of the egg to crack. Remember?
I'm not familiar, but
great story. Or they talk about, I think, like arguing on the head of a pin, that kind of thing, where it's such a minute difference that it's absurd, and it's a change of focus. So you lose the essence of what you're talking about. So here she is, Mother Teresa turned into Mother Misery, but she's still doing her work, in spite of the fact that emotionally she believes that she doesn't believe. but she's still doing the work. Why would she? She wouldn't. See, if she, in the core of the essence of her being, she still believed. But in the emotional essence of her being, which is like a toilet that needs constant cleaning, we're deeper and higher than the emotions, right? We know things on a deeper level spiritually. So if you mistake your faith for what you emotionally believe in, you're missing your connection point. God connects you on a much deeper level than that. He talks to you through your, he persuades you. And the one thing we know about God, we know more than one. Getting back to Harry Potter, right? What was Dumbledore. What were the core messages? There is a clear, unyielding, unchanging difference between good and evil.
Sure.
Right? There is such a thing as an enemy. There is such a thing as a friend. There is such a thing as a conscience. There's also such a thing as malevolence, right? And these things, they don't change. They're forever, right? So Rowling, in her writing, she was talking about these core spiritual principles that are part of the essence of Judeo-Christian understanding, where we meet God, where we absolutely meet God, which is much deeper than the nitpicking bullshit of arguing about theology and forgetting the big question is, does God exist? Is there a clear distinction between good and evil? Who is Christ or Jesus, whichever word you want, or Jesus? I don't care what you call him. It's just language, right? Somebody told me once that Jesus was the proper name. I said, actually, his name was Yeshua. You know, that's what his name was. No, she's furious. She wants to have a fight with me. I said, it's not worth fighting about. He lived in a time and a place where Jesus was not a name. Does that matter? Does that speak to the essence of who he was? Or is that just a song? It's like if you there's a Zen saying, don't mistake my finger for the moon at which it is pointing. Right? And it's like, so these are good things to think about, you know, to simplify and clarify our minds so maybe we become better lightning rods for God, you know? So anyway, I think that was that whole one. I don't know, you must have some things to add to that.
Always can, Mike, but I feel like you nail it. I mean, the essence of that story, and that's what I always try to capture, the summary of. You're a much better storyteller, but when you really sync it up, it's as simple as, and I liked how you phrased that, you know, we have that power in us.
Yes.
Through him.
Right.
Use it.
Right.
You know, every time I'm thinking about this show and the Reclaiming Timeless Ways concept, the core is be better, like the last show where you gave an example of a guy who helped you be better by being better.
Right.
I mean, the reality is we do, each of us have those unique powers.
Right.
And for good or evil.
Right. Yeah.
How are you going to use yours? What are you going to do with that?
Right. So when you're really pissed off and something fucked you over, right, you have the choice to continue to be light or to become bitter and darkness.
And it is our choice.
Right.
No matter the circumstance, it's always our choice.
Yep.
Your circumstances might be harder than mine, but it's still a choice.
Right. And so the question is God going to give me more life and more opportunity, more experience, more time, more health, more power, in some way unique to me or in some way unique to you, to do more if I just say one word, okay, or yes. How? I don't know. I have no idea what he's going to put in my hand, you know, but if I see somebody suffering, maybe I can encourage them, you know. That's it.
All right.
Oh, I almost forgot.
Yeah, you haven't been slapped in the notebook.
That's right.
Have a great day. Until next time, we appreciate you joining us for this episode.